while I'm not here.
Chased validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt up on the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher constantly, making my own climb. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. Whoa, I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield. Standing on higher ground, where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds. Raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield. To mediocrity and chaos, I will never yield.
How y'all doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this. I'm your host, Andrew, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. I gotta tell you, I got a mission ahead of me, so I'm just, I'm exhausted, but I did give me a little bit of rest. Just, wild sleep schedule. So I'm trying to make things work out in different ways so that, I can be in more than one place at the same damn time. Either way, recognizing y'all that we do not let the sun rise without going live, but we don't always start on time. We ask you guys to like, subscribe, and then also hit that notification button so that you can be notified of when the show goes live. And then in addition to that, double check the membership. Actually, I had a couple things go into the membership today. That was interesting. And then I got to start filling in the blanks with some of the other stuff that I told y'all I was going to be working on. I feel like I was being lazy, but I was also taking me a break, getting me a little bit of a mini vacation in because I've been burning the candle at both ends for the last 3 years. And I said, man, let me sleep in a little bit, let me rest a little bit, try to get some stuff done. But y'all should see a Monday night show listed by Sunday night. And I got to put that show together to make sure that we got all the details that we need to get for a Monday night show. And then we have to, because the overtime hours was something, and then there was something else that I wanted to talk about, and I want to make sure that I get all of that stuff together so that we can piece all of that stuff into the same show. But if I can't piece it together into the same show because I forgot what it was, then I will at least have the overtime hours discussion in there. And then just add in the other stuff on the back end. So we're going to be covering a lot of that stuff on Monday. And since we have different topics every night of the week, Sunday to well, today's Friday night. Sunday, in a couple of days, we do questions and comments from fans where you guys have questions about you that we go ahead and try to answer, help you guys get to do what you do. Then Mondays, we have discussions about the way politics negatively impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. Oh, that's what I was thinking about. We have the $20 an hour thing, and then the gas prices still being high. So that's like a two-part series that I think I was going to put together. And I've seen the gas prices shift. Well, not the gas prices, the stock prices for the gas companies shift as of recent. So we're going to see what all of that stuff is about, and then we're going to give you guys all the information on that. So after we talk about politics interfering with your money on Mondays, Tuesdays we talk about different ways to make, save, and invest money, different ways to budget money, different ways to look at your money, different ways to address your decision making as it affects your money. And then we start talking about on Wednesdays different countries around the world that you can potentially live and invest in. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Yesterday was Thursday. We had a pretty decent 7-hour conversation. So special shout out to Sterling. We had a pretty decent conversation. But we give you guys information on personal development, self-improvement, relationship topics, socialization, negotiations, building your brands, and then raises, promotions, retirement, forced retirement, severance packages, termination. You know, we cover the whole spread. And then as we spent that 7 hours on Thursday talking about is how to change the things that you got going on in your life and build your 20 or 30-year plan. Because as we had that discussion yesterday with Sterling, Sterling's in his 40s. Most of my channel is 35 and up at the very least. But Sterling's in his 30s, he's in his 40s, and there's things that he doesn't like that he would prefer to change. And in order for us to make those changes, one of the things we have to do is we have to find those pain points in our life, the things that we don't like, the things that we wish would be better, and then proactively find a way to make changes on that. Now, not everything can be changed. Some things we have to navigate around. Like, for example, we were talking about whether or not people on Social Security could actually travel out of the country. They can, but they can only, as Sterling said, they can only travel if they have SSI. They can travel out of the country for 30 days, and anything after 30 days, they lose their benefits. But SSDI, which is the disability benefits after 20, 30 years worth of work kind of situation, work credit related, that one you might be able to travel with, and veterans benefits you can travel with. But the SSI, which is the non-disability credits, that one doesn't give you that. That one limits you to 30 days. That's the one that limits you to $1,000 income, even if you're over the age of 70. So we verified that, and yeah, that's the thing. So if you were on SSI and you wanted to go live in another country for 12 months, the problem with that one is that if you were gone for 12 consecutive months, they may not only stop your benefits, they may even terminate your benefits altogether. So if you wanted to go to another country with SSI, you would have to plan a 3-week vacation, 3-week getaway. Well, you could probably do a 4-week getaway, but if you don't want an interruption in your service fly out on day 1 and you want to touch down on day 28. That way, even if it's the month of, they're not cutting your benefits off, and you got like a day or two left for flight manifest to touch on the fact that you are still here. But 4 weeks out of the country, even if you're on SSI, is still a good thing to do, because you could go to places like the Philippines on a tourist visa, and $2,000 a month of living there. If you were living at 30% of your income here, you would only be spending about $600, $700 a month worth of your standard living here. But let's say that you spent close to $1,000 of your standard living here, and you had the other $1,000 extra, like in a safe in your house somewhere, and you saved up enough money to go to the Philippines, like a $2,000 trip to get there, unless you can find a cheaper way to get there. Well, it'd be round trip, because you're so it's like 1,000 to get there, 1,000 to get back. But that's 2 months worth of money saved up. And then if you're going to stay there for a month, and it's $2,000 to stay there, that's 2 more months to stay there. That's a total of 4 months. And if you wanted to bring an extra $1,000 or $2,000 just in case you wanted something extra, that's 2 more months, which is 6 months. So you could say, well, even with my SSI lifestyle, living on a $24,000 a year fixed income, that I could, in fact, still fly out to another country and get everything established. And you could do one better, because if you plan this over a 7-month period, you could pay your bills 2 months in advance. So the 30 days that you're gone, you don't have to manage any bills. Whether you have a mortgage or rent payment, you can set everything up, and then you can fly out, do what you got to do, enjoy your time. You only need $2,000 to stay there, but you brought $4,000. So even if you wanted to buy some souvenirs and ship them back, even if extra luggage on the way back costs more money than the luggage to go out there, whatever the case may be, you could do what you had to do, and then come back with change left over and have you a good time, and come back and be able to live a life of simplicity, where it is possible for you to change the way things are, no matter what your income status is. And that's one of the things we were talking about on yesterday's show, is that you're not as poor as you think. One of the things that keeps you in a poor position, one of the things that keeps you with a poor mindset, again, is the mindset. Because if you think that there isn't another way, you're not even going to look. If you don't like the way things are and you start looking for another way, you will find other options. Now, some of those options might be harder than others. I'm not going to tell you that you can cure cancer just by finding another way. I'm not going to tell you that you can cure heart disease just by finding another way. But what I can tell you is that if you don't have enough money to cover the things that you need, there's more than one legal way to get you some more money. You either spend less or earn more, but there's at least 2 ways to have more money accessible to you. All right. And that's why we give you guys all of this information. Now, today, productivity, training your entrepreneur about today. And, me burning the candle at both ends, trying to be in 2 different places at the same time. I'm actually living that life, right? So I ask you, and I know Steven can feel this way too, because he's a college student. So he's going to college during the day. He's got at least 1, if not 2 other jobs, where he's working at night and working on weekends and all of this other stuff. Burning the candle at both ends. When you're tasking yourself proactively to multiple different things, where you're duty bound to multiple different things, and you're limiting your vacation time, your rest time, your sleep time, your rejuvenation time, you find yourself in a position where you're highly stressed out. You're short-tempered, you're irritable. And when you're irritable, that misdirected rage can happen, because accidentally, because they're doing things that are inconsiderate to your peace, and you just lash, right? So building up a level of patience requires for you to rejuvenate your mental state. And that's one of the things we're going to be discussing is today, the issue of burning the candle at both ends, and what can you do instead. Now, let's start with a question. Do you ever get to the end of the day, feel totally white, but look back and have no idea what you actually did? Were you busy all day? Frantically busy? Because a lot of the times you might find yourself with enough mental stress to wear you out, where you have accomplished 2 physical activities and then slept the rest of the day. You know, think about this. Your calendar was a battlefield. Your inbox is a war zone. I actually once a month now have to go into my emails and delete 1,000 plus emails, 1,000 plus spam messages, and then curate all of the important emails to make sure that I have enough space to operate my Gmail data space used. Because I'm not about to pay for the cloud. I will delete everything in there before I pay for the cloud, right? But you find out that your notifications are relentlessly beating like a drum. I know I've got alarm clocks that go off on a daily basis at specific times on specific days where I got to get up. At the very least, I got to get up and turn off the alarm clock. But a lot of the times, I got to get up and go to work. I got to get up. I got to take care of this client. I got to get up. I got to take care of personal stuff around the house. I got to get up. I got to take care of the podcast. And every 2 or 3 hours, I got another alarm clock saying, "Hey, you got something else to do," right? You feel like you were moving 100 miles an hour, but your most important work, the stuff that actually moves the needle, is still sitting there untouched. I got to tell you guys, you're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You are putting in the hours, probably more than ever before, but your to-do list is only getting longer. And that feeling of making real progress is getting more and more elusive. What if I told you that this isn't a personal failure? What if it's a design flaw in the way that you work today? There goes Daniel. Special shout out to Daniel. Look, I had delayed the show so that I can make sure that when I click buttons, but there it is. I'm trying to put his I was trying to put his message up on the thing and it wasn't going up there. I'm like, what's going on? Because I got here like 10 minutes before the show, because y'all know I said I start the show right when I get up, because I want to make sure that I'm rested for the overnight flight. Because right after I finish with the show, I got stuff to do all night. And I was trying to do a bug test on the computer, and it was scanning the performance of the computer. And typically I got to run it twice. One to get the stuff that was happening while the computer was on standby, because by the script and everything being set up, the computer's on standby. So what I have to do is hit play. And then I have to do it a second time so that I can deal with a lot of this lag that I'm looking at right now. Ultimately, I need to buy me a new computer, because this one's a 2023 and I rarely ever turn it off. So I know that the 90% data usage on this one with the spaces is almost filled up. I should probably get me a new computer with some better processors. The Snapdragon software on a chip. I should probably do that soon. I'm just trying to position myself in a way to make sure that happens, and I just haven't gotten that far yet. But when I do, it's going to be phenomenal, because then we're going to be operating in probably 4K at that point. But right now we're bouncing back and forth between 720 and 1080p, especially with the fiber optics. I found that fiber optics is better than the 5G towers. The only issue we have with fiber optics is the weather. So when it's raining, the fiber optics is not as as not as sturdy as it is when it's not raining. A little bit of drop frames, but I also know that if I got me a bigger computer with a better processor for this live stream, that I would have a whole lot more stuff going on with staying connected with y'all. Either way, you know, we work on this. We work on this year over year. And as I make progress and make improvements, you guys see that progress and y'all see the improvement. And then, you know, y'all know that when I tell y'all, hey, it is possible to do better, because you see it happening. You see it happening day over day. If you watch this podcast every day, you see, dang, he didn't upgrade it, dang, he didn't change this, dang, he didn't did that. But it's the little things in life. So with that being said, one of the things you guys got to realize, the truth is that a hidden cognitive tax that is silently stealing a huge portion of your effective time exists when you find yourself burned out by the end of the day and still not accomplishing all of the major things that you wanted to accomplish out of that day. Some analysis suggests that this drain can consume up to 40% of your productivity hours in highly fragmented work environments. Okay. This is called context switching, and it's one of the biggest, most underappreciated drains on performance in modern work. There we go. OG Kicks. Special shout out to OG Kicks. I'm trying to get it, y'all. I'm trying to get it. It is in time, but I am trying to get it. I'll put him up here. Show it. I'm trying to let the show catch up with us. Everything is not working the way it's supposed to work. You know, when you get mad, you want to rage quit a thing when you you to push the button a number of times and ain't nothing working the way you wanted it to work. It's like, look, nah, can't do that with the live stream, because then I have to start the live stream over. I ain't trying to start the live stream over. But there we go. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get y'all to catch up. You know, it would be so nice if they went and put the show that we're doing live at the top of the show. So it's, as I told y'all, it was running a scan. I was trying to tell y'all it was running a scan, but what happened is that it then went through all the cameras, but it's still doing the background test, and it is interfering with our abilities. Let's see, that StreamYard is pending right now on the browser. Now we're in there. Lord have mercy. I gotta tell you, this is some wild stuff. Okay, there we go. All right, let me take this one off. All right, hold on a second. We're gonna wait. Where's the camera? Oh, We got to push this button. We're going to make this work some kind of way. Okay, so while the lag is killing me, I was saying device is not connected. Well, the camera is connected. Which one are we using right now? We're using this one. This is one of the things, like you said, well, back out and go back in. Oh, Lord. Probably got to hit the refresh button on the browser. I don't know. So we're going to get this going, and then we're going to get back into the main topic of the show. Yeah, we got to leave the studio. So while I try to figure out what's going on with that in the background, while I talk to y'all about the rest of the stuff in the foreground, this is one of the reasons why I said, man, I need to have me a second computer for this stuff, so that when I have one computer not doing what I wanted to do, I can have a whole nother computer already logged up, and we can just knock it out and make it do what it do. Anyway, back to the main topic here. So in the next hour or so that we're going to be going through this, I'm not going to just show you what context switching is. I'm going to show you how it has hijacked your brain and why it hits your productivity levels. Oh, look at that. Everything is slowing down, even the internet. Okay, there we go. Okay, so come on, scroll for me. There we go. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to give you a concrete system to stop paying this tax. It's a mental tax, not a financial tax, and start changing the way you approach things as of today, as I muscle through this particular scenario today. Don't worry, I'm trying to get to your comments, Michael. Michael got some comments up here. Hold on, let me see if I put Michael's comment. Can I read his comments? I don't know what's going on with Michael's comments. Michael's comment says, called white noise. No, it's not white noise, Michael. 80% wasted time could change it to 20% noise or less. Be focused in your tasks. Noise to the grinding wheel. Okay. Well, I guess I can relate to that, Michael. Special shout out to Michael. He said, raise the camera. You want me to put it up here? That's gonna require me to hold the dang phone like way the heck up here. Oh Lord. See, I don't be planning on coming in here with the camera stand and all this other stuff, because I wasn't planning on using the cell phone to do the live stream. But that is a good way to think about it. If you prioritize the right things, it is possible for you to have a 20% of your effort going into 80% of your productivity instead of the other way around. But also, we have to recognize that it's not so much white noise. It's activating multiple tasks at the same time and not finishing any of those tasks. And now you are mentally divided between all of the things you started without ever accomplishing anything. But we're going to be trying to get into that into detail. Oh, wait, we got to go this way. Let me try to move the camera the way where I can see me with it. And then we're gonna, there it is. All right. So let me see if we can move this up a little bit more. And you know what StreamYard should do, what YouTube does, is whenever a show goes live, that they should move it to the top of the list. That way you can find it, because with 200 videos up there pre-listed,
It is. I got to go all the way down to the bottom. It's one of the ones that I scheduled last month. I got to go all the way down to the bottom and then throw it in there. So be patient, y'all. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this together. We're gonna get this together. I started late because I was trying to avoid this technical difficulty, and I still got hit with the technical difficulty. And once we go live, I'm gonna stay in it. I don't really give a shit. I'm gonna stay in it. And I know somebody would say, "Well, you know, if you would have got up there an hour sooner." Now, I don't know what it is with society, but everything ends up being bogged down. The system ends up being bogged down after a while. And it's usually bogging down right when we're going live. All right, so we got the camera. And why does it say device not connected? So it's not registering the mic and the camera. So it's a whole browser issue. That's a Google browser problem. Well, not much we can do about that. Oh, so Michael says, when I got to a point, I started delegating responsibilities out so those tasks can get done, and even if I have to pay for the services. Okay, that's one way to look at it, Michael. Yeah, I've talked about that before as well on the show, that it is a good idea to delegate a lot of the responsibilities in order for you to make more time. And that's one of the things that the wealthy do, is they buy back their time by redirecting responsibilities to the help. All right, hold on, guys. I think we got it. Let me push this button. When we do a picture in picture. I'm trying to get this crack. There it is. There it is. All right, come on. Hey, it was up there. It was up there. Come on now. Web browser not doing what we needed to do now. It used to say, "Hey, how do you like our service?" And I'd be like, "It sucks," because of stuff just like this. Got me paying for the service and then it's not working the way we wanted to work. All right, there it is. So we're up there. All right, hold on a second, y'all. We're gonna switch to the other camera. Let's see if we get the switch. And then switch off the other guy. All right. Turn that mic off. And we should be back to normal. We should be back to normal. All right, Michael's asking me a question here. He's asking me, you know, that's wild because when I do it the other way, I can actually hear myself talk. That's annoying. Because it's an echo. No, I don't have more than one technically. Well, I have this computer, and that's kind of it. He says you need a gravel. I don't get it. No notifications on this one. Wow. Hey, we paused, man. Look,
That's why we're having technical issues today. Steven wasn't here. No, man, I've had a technical issue for the last 5 minutes. So I actually haven't got. I'm like 4 pages in because I started trying to talk about the topic for today because we're talking about productivity drain, but the system went down, and when the system went down, I was trying to get it back up, and it's been glitchy today. It's worse than what it's been in a while, and I was trying to get it back up, and I thought I had it working for us. Still a little bit sluggish. I'm still looking at drags in the frame rate right now, drop frames and stuff. So you didn't miss much because the live is kind of distorted today, and I don't understand why that is. Oh, let me put this on the main screen because it's supposed to be on the main screen. It's got me on like a sub screen thing. They got a whole silhouette around me and shit. There it is. All right, front screen, front and center. So I'm gonna try to do this, push through this and get this uh, in the right settings. But no, we don't have a lot of things going on over here. I'm like the only one operating stuff right now. But for some normal, I don't know. Hopefully I can. One of the things I think it might be is probably have to do some browser updates, and I didn't check for browser updates before I started the show. I was doing hardware updates on the computer to make sure that the computer was running correctly. So whatever the service lag is, a judge's gavel. Oh, 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 you need a gavel. I needed a gavel to be a judge for the throne that I have. So when you slam it on the table times. True, because I be slamming my hand on the table a lot of the times when I be over here. When I be getting to the point, I be slamming my hand on the table a lot of times. That's why you see the camera shake. Well, some of the times, not right now. Right now, you're just looking at the fact that the internet is catching up to me. Because whatever's going on with the network wasn't the quality I thought we were going to get today. We're operating on 720p today, so I don't understand why it's giving us so much lag, but it is giving us a lot of lag. But like I told you guys, what I'm probably going to do is have to invest in a different computer. But if I got another computer for $500, it'll just be a newer model, but it won't be a higher performing computer. And technically, what I need is a higher performing computer, which would require me to procure a couple $1,000s for a bigger computer. Because this is a Lenovo Yoga i7. I would need something bigger than that. I would need one of those apparatus computers, one of those gigantic think pads or some shit like that, like a gamer computer. That's what I would need. Something with a lot of processors on it. Because the network, it would bottleneck through the performance of the computer. So as the computer's processors doesn't process fast enough, we also have issues with the network because of that. So we're gonna work that stuff out. We're gonna work that stuff out. But I'm expecting everything to work correctly long enough for us to get through tonight's show, because we only got like 62 more pages left, and to be able to cover those 62 more pages in about an hour and a half. So you didn't miss anything, Stephen. And yesterday we had cut it. Oh, he said it could be that large solar flare. I didn't know there was a solar flare today. Oh yeah, well fuck, if there was a damn solar flare, that would really interfere with fiber optics. Because I'm Wi-Fi to the fiber optics. I was thinking to myself, I had bought the Ethernet cable to plug directly to the modem, but the modem's in the room. And I didn't think to myself, because I didn't research the weather. When did the solar flare start? When did the solar flare start? Because the solar flare could have really be giving us a hard time tonight. I didn't even know there was a damn solar flare. I should have told y'all something. Hey, we're gonna start the podcast after the solar flare. So there's solar activity that is currently low to moderate levels with background X-ray flux in the C-class range, and that is in fact the likelihood of the M-class solar flares are at around 50% and strong X-class flares at 10% due to the magnetically complex sunspot region located somewhere wild. What's going on? Drivers are going to be the activity from the sun, when. Let's find when is that happening. I didn't know that there were solar flares today, y'all. So activity is going to continue through June 28th as highly unstable sunspot regions. So it starts. Well, yeah, and then they're going to say that it's going to calm down on the 29th and the 30th. Oh, well, that sucks. That explains a lot of disappointment here. Okay, so the podcast is being negatively impacted by solar flares. Okay. At least we kind of figured out what the heck was going on there. Well, let's see if we can through the solar flare. I might have to do the whole damn show from the cell phone, since the solar flares is going to interfere with the actual primary show, the main thing here. So I think I'll do that. That'll help us get through it. It will cause me to have to. These only minor spot areas will be affected. We're affected today because I'm trying to run the show and the shit's not. All the browsers on the back page ain't like we're affected today. I'm sitting over here trying to scroll up on a script that I done did for the day so we can get through the day's information, and it ain't moving the way we wanted to move. We're affected today. Let's see what we got going on here.
All right, we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna put this, my man. We're gonna put you on, and we're gonna take that backstage. We're gonna do it like this. And then we're gonna set down. Steven got notice. All right, what's your see? I got to zoom in on everybody's comments now so I can read your comments. The solar flares are affecting my ability to get the information I need to best make, save, and invest money. Oh my goodness. All right, so there it is. I'm sitting over here looking like the browser completely shut down. He said, do you have any aluminum to wrap your hand with? No, I don't have any aluminum to wrap my hand with. I have never experienced a solar flare before. Well, I mean, I may have experienced a solar flare and not noticed it, but I have never had a solar flare negatively impact my performance before. So we're going to go ahead and do it like this, because if we do it like this, we'll be able to survive the night. And I just have to kind of like wiggle around for the comment section and everything. So we're going to get through this. But Steven, you didn't miss out on much, because like I said before, we were distortedly interrupted. Well, shit, I don't need this since I'm backing out of that studio. you didn't miss out on any information about making, saving, and investing money because we were struggling with the okay, so I can close that out. Maybe if I close that out, that'll save some of my processing speed and allow me to speed up some. And Michael said, bring it up to your face. Bring it up to your face. We can see your face. All right, we're going to bring it up to my face. Turn off a couple of these things and these scans. And then if I get rid of some of these scans, we probably have some more computing power, and that'll give us the ability to kind of muscle through the solar flare. I was not expecting the solar flare to do what it did to us today. I didn't even know that there was a solar flare because I don't check the weather. I know what the weather looks like when I walk outside. I know. I don't get dressed for the weather gets dressed for me. So when I go walking out, yeah, and the computer is still scanning. It didn't reach capacity. So let's go ahead and turn that scan off. Cancel the scan, and that'll give us more computing power. Because I had a secondary scan going, but it's not. If we're dealing with solar flares, we don't need to deal with that scan right now. So context switching. That's what we were about to talk about when Stephen jumped into the show. Context switching. Now, exactly. What is that? What exactly is context switching? Well, the term comes from the computer science field describing how a single processor juggles multiple tasks. That's what context switching is. Now, in the human world, it's the mental cost that you pay every single time you shift your attention from one unrelated thing to another, which is something that we deal with on a regular basis. Now, let's be crystal clear. This is not the same as multitasking. In fact, for any task that requires real thinking, true multitasking is a neurological myth for the vast majority of people. What we call multitasking is usually just context switching in rapid fire succession, bouncing between an email, a report, a spreadsheet, and a chat all within minutes. And every one of those switches costs you. That's what we were supposed to be talking about. So think of your brain less like a computer with a dozen programs open and more like a workbench. Now, see, I got to get the camera angle right. When you're working on a project, let's say building furniture, you lay out all your tools, your materials, your blueprints. Everything you need is right there. Now, imagine someone taps you on the shoulder and says, you need to immediately go fix a leaky faucet in the bathroom. Regardless of what you might believe, you can't just instantly start fixing the faucet. First, you have to carefully put away your work tools so nothing gets lost. You have to walk to that bathroom, figure out where the leak is, and then find a whole new set of tools, the wrench, seals, buckets. You have to load a completely new mental model. Then when you finally get back to your furniture project, what happens? You don't just pick up where you left off. You have to look at the blueprint again and find your place. There's Jesse Talks. Special shout out to Jesse Talks. How you doing, buddy? Man, we're dealing with the solar flare today, so we I'm struggling with the live today. But it's good to see you, man. There's been a lot of, man, you missed out on a lot of wild stuff we were talking about with politics on the last 3 Mondays. This particular Monday, we're going to be dealing with the discussion of the overtime hours, and I'm trying to think of the other thing that we were talking about. Oh, the gas price is not going down after the Strait got open and the oil is starting to flow again. So we're going to be doing like a combination of discussions with the way that things have settled down, but prices have not. And then the projection of the claim that they're supposed to be switching full-time work to 32 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week, if that's true, and how that would work out for those individuals who are working, what do we got going on right now, like 55, 65 hours a week. That would put a lot of money into the pockets of the poor. But like we discussed for the 7 hours or 7.5 hours yesterday, is that the more money you put into the pockets of the people who don't keep money in their pockets, the more money is going to go back into the economy, which is going to stimulate the economy and progress inflation. But even still, we're gonna discuss that whole model on Monday. Now, one of the other issues that you have with getting back to your original project is that you have to go back and read the blueprints, remember your next step, get your brain back into the woodworking model mode, and then get back on top of your project. That reorientation process is the cognitive cost of context switching. So every time you switch, your brain has to shift its goals, deactivate the rules for the old task, and activate the rules for the new task. It has to flush its working memory, the way we delete the cache when our computers aren't working the way we want them to work. The very limited RAM that your brain has for holding information, we have to clear that out and then load a new set of data. You notice how we say that you got to forget something to remember something new? Pretty much that's what that is. Michael says gas prices for gas has almost dropped from $6.42 to $4.81 per gallon of unleaded gas. Some bitch, y'all made it to $7 in some places. California, Wyoming, Wisconsin. Sheesh. I capped out at 387 where I was, but it's still at 387 where I'm at. Donald Trump said that the gas prices was supposed to be something closer to like 245 or 281 or something like that right now, but it is like $2 a gallon higher than what he would have expected it to be. And they believe that there might be some price gouging. That's why I told you we're going to be covering a lot of that topic on Monday. And I'm going to be trying to put the show up Sunday or Saturday after the show so that we can go ahead and cover that. There's a lot of information, and I'm very interested to see how that's going to work out. And then we're going to be brainstorming some what ifs as to if they do find a price gouging, what are they going to do about it? And then like what happens to us once the prices start going down a little bit more. But the prices going down does help a lot. It does make those flights cheaper. It does make train travel cheaper. It does make the public transportation cheaper. It does make driving yourself cheaper. And this is now a better time, if you didn't do it before, to go and buy you a couple of those 40-gallon gas cans and oversell or overstock the gas that you are collecting and store it at your house, so that you and if you go and get the ethanol free gas, you could store that 40 gallons of gas at your house for dirt cheap, or not dirt cheap, just less than what it would be when prices go up. And then you wouldn't have to worry about how prices are, because if you would have had, like with me, I technically would probably only use like 10 to 15 gallons per tank in my vehicle. So 40-gallon gas tank would fill my car up like 3 times, right? The way I use my vehicle now, I probably would have to put gas in the vehicle probably once a month, which means if I had at least one 40-gallon gas can, I would be able to fill my tank 3 times, plus the full tank I would have had in the car at the time, which would have covered me like 4 months. 2 of those 40-gallon gas cans, like I told you guys, get a couple of them, get like 100 gallons of gas on your property. That way you ain't got to worry about nothing. I technically, if I would have had that before the war started, I could have had gas from December when gas was like below $3 a gallon. and I could have held that gas for 5 or 6 months and would have not experienced any of the inflated gas prices, because by the time I would have ran out of gas, the gas prices would have gone all the way back down to $3 a gallon. That is one of the ways that you prepare for inconveniences, because while we know seasonally that prices go up June, July, August, prices go down November, December, January. If you fill up in like late December, early January, and you filled up and you held on to that for however long the gas lasts, that's the buffer between you and the new gas prices. So if you use first in, first out, you use the old gas first and then the new gas, like use the gas in your car and then use the gas on reserve, rotate those out every other month or so, and make sure that you try to keep you some fresh gas on hand. You will find yourself, once you start seeing, well, the gas prices are going up, I'm gonna fill up at my house. And then you don't have to worry about that. He said, we was paying $5 for 87. No, I was not. I was paying $3.87. I was paying $3.87 to $3.89 for gas. I was paying y'all was paying $5. I was paying $3.87, $3.89. I ain't put gas in my car in like 3.5, 4 weeks. I was gonna go put some gas in my car this week, but then I said, no, I'm gonna wait 2 weeks. I'm doing a lot of driving tomorrow, and then after that, I got nothing else to do because I'm getting everything delivered. And then I said, well, either the next week or the week after, I'll fill the tank. And then I got a long trip on, I think, the 16th. And then after that, I got another long trip on the 23rd. And after that, I'm like, nope, I got nothing else to do until August. So I said, shit, I'm gonna drag this out as much as possible. Okay, and Michael's got something here. Michael says, just buy a tanker truck of gas. Well, see, in order for you to buy a tanker truck of gas, Michael, because I know you being funny, but that's unrealistic, because in order to buy a tanker truck of gas, you would have to first buy a tanker truck. A 40-gallon gas can can be anywhere between $150 and $250 for a 40-gallon gas can with the pump and everything on it. And if you got two of those, you'd be spending like $500 to store gas. And I know some people are like, oh, well, why would you spend a few $100s on that when you can get you a little 5 or 10-gallon gas can? Because the 5-gallon and 10-gallon gas cans, well, the 5-gallon gas cans that you find at the store are like almost $40, $50 per gas can. And if you got enough to hold 40 gallons, one, you would have a bunch of small cans that you would have to find a place to store. And then two, you'd be paying the same price. So instead, you buy in bulk and you get at least one 40-gallon gas can scenario, and then you store that on your property, and then you fill up, and then you would be fine. Now, you can do it one or two ways. I would do it way number one, and that would be put that bitch in your back seat, drive it to the store, fill that fucker up, drive it back to the house, take it out of the car, roll it roll it into the back somewhere, and bolt that bitch to the house. Option B, you can secure the fucker somewhere on the property, and then whenever you go to the store with your little 5-gallon or 10-gallon gas can, grab that, fill it up, bring that back to the house, and then dump a little bit in there every now and again whenever you go to the store. Especially for somebody who goes and gets gas like every other day, you could do it like that, where you fill your tank and then fill a 5-gallon tank, and then the 4 times that you go to the gas station to fill up your vehicle, you would have filled up your reserve. And then in situations where gas start getting too much, you can top off your reserve and like kind of delay stuff. But it really just depends on how you prepare yourself. That's really what it is. But back to the main topic of the switching, right? Context switching. When you're revamping your mindset to a different task after changing tasks, this is going to be where the real damage is going to happen. A researcher named Dr. Sophie Leroy pioneered the study of a phenomenon called attention residue. Okay. Attention residue. Now, her work shows that when you switch from task A to task B, part of your attention stays stuck on task A. So while you're trying to focus on a new report, a piece of your mind is still mulling over the emails that you were just writing. This residue clogs up your cognitive pipeline, making it harder to think clearly, easier to make mistakes, and almost impossible to enter a state of deep focused work. Now, this also, you can observe this experience if you're performing a task. But if you've ever remembered a time where you call somebody else's name because you were dealing with the other person, you were thinking about that person still, that was mowing over in your brain, then a new person walks up and you're calling a new person by the old person's name, it's exactly that function. That's what just happened there. It's the situation where you might be dealing with something stressful in your life. You've got this project that you're trying to work on, and then you pause on a project, and now you're mowing over the stressors of the problem that hasn't resolved itself. That's another experience that happens, where your brain is on project A, probably the most important or most stressful situation, while you're physically trying to perform project B, which is less important to you, right? And there's studies that have found that frequent task switching can lead to significantly higher error rates, meaning that you're going to make a lot more mistakes. You might, if you're presenting something, you might slur your speech, you might stutter, you might slip up on your presentation, and try to rectify that and recover yourself from that. But at the same time, still force yourself to get through it, which is what I'm doing today. Because I've got this, I got that, and another thing that I'm thinking about at the same time. So I'm actually in the process of context switching between three different tasks at the same time. Now, this brings us to some of the shocking numbers that you may have not heard before. Famous studies like those from Gloria Mark at the University of California, Irvin, yeah, I think that's what it's called. Irvin, I-R-V-I-N, Arvine. We're going to call it Irvine. Michael, you know how to talk about these people. You know how to talk about these people, Michael. Anyway, Gloria Marks found that after significant interruptions, it can take an average of over 20 minutes to return to the original task. And that doesn't just mean refocusing. That's the total time, including the interruption itself and any other small tasks done before getting back on track. So it takes 20 minutes or more to kind of reprogram yourself and get through all of the processes so that you can find find your mentality completely back on the original topic. He says, suck an underground tank, 300-gallon plus and have a tanker truck deliver it. Oh, well, I mean, if you start turning your house into a fuel station, but then you've got zoning laws that's going to interfere with your ability to pull that off. Is that I would with a 3,000-gallon tanker. That's a lot of work. Attention deficit. Well, attention deficit is going to be the inability to focus on or pay attention to your tasks and objectives. And a lot of people are being hit with that misdiagnosis of ADHD or ADD when they are in the capabilities of a high hypervigilance, meaning that your head's always on a swivel. You're always paying attention to multiple things at the same time. You're capable of applying yourself to multiple things at the same time, yet you are not necessarily with actual attention deficit disorder, just your capabilities to perform with limited focus on more than one thing, right? So people who doom scroll on TikTok, it's 1 minute reels on a regular basis more often than not, which trains your brain to only focus on a specific thing for 60 seconds. And it can trap you to 60 plus videos an hour because there's one video a minute. But the first 15 seconds, if it doesn't catch your attention, you're going to flip to another video, which means you're likely to go through 4 videos a minute, which means that you could find yourself going through 240 videos an hour. That develops a behavior pattern that is misrepresented as attention deficit. True attention deficit is your inability to focus, meaning that you're not capable of paying attention in the first place, not because you're distracted by a outside source or something different from the original task. That's not the same thing, but it is a form or a symptom that can be a byproduct of context switching, because you're not capable of focusing on your task now due to the distraction from before. And that does, in fact, resemble an area of attention deficit. He says, my attention has gotten shorter. I blame YouTube Shorts. No, you do a good job sitting up here for 5 hours waiting on me and Sterling to finish a conversation. So, but I can say that a lot of people that are on the show that listen but don't comment are people that are listening to the show while doing something else. Your attention is split. We have inherently called that multitasking, but that's context switching. You're rapidly doing it at the same time. Some of us context switch so much that we have to have background noise while we're focused on something else. But our mind is split between what we're listening to and what we're looking at, what we're thinking about and what we're doing. That is a lot of the times 4 different things. So that means that our brain is running at 25% or less, because it is inherently focused on 4 different things at the same time. Now, some people can say, well, that's attention deficit disorder. No, it's not, because I can't focus on one thing at a time. It's because I'm not used to it anymore, and I don't want to do it anymore. I don't feel comfortable with focusing on one thing at a time. So I got to put background noise on so that I can pay attention to what I'm doing right now. People who go on long drives, you got to have music playing in the background. That's what that is. He said, hey, we're down here. No, I see you, Mike. I'm scrolling through the camera. I had to lean over to get my cup because I'm not trying to waste my coffee cup on my laptop, because I only got one laptop. And I got y'all on the cell phone right now instead of on the show. He said, got a lot of grays in the beard. Yes, I'm 41. I'm old. Nose hairs need trimming. Yes, that's why you keep seeing me. That's why you keep seeing me messing with my nostrils, because my beard, my mustache is tickling my nose hairs. He said, I need the radio on, which is the music. Yes, true to that. Now, look, a quick glance at a notification won't always cost you that much energy. But unless that notification is something important, unless that notification is something that triggers a stressor, and then your attention is completely distracted. So if we were on a podcast, and that's what trollers will do when they jump into your comment section and they say something negative or something inappropriate. What happens is that those people will say something, you see that message throws you off your game. And if they can disrupt your podcast, even to the magnitude where you stop talking to pay attention to their comment, they get a laugh out of that because they triggered you to lose your focus on your presentation. Even if you can continue your show, even if you can edit that out, the fact is that in the moment they were able to distract you and throw you off your game. That actually is this, where you're not able to regain your composure on the original comments and discussions that you are focused on, which is one of the reasons why I create a script, so that when I'm distracted from my original presentation, that I can get back to my original presentation, because I prepared what my presentation was supposed to be, which allows me to give you guys detailed information and still entertain the strawman topics on the side. But when the switches are consistent, meaning that you're doing it quite frequently, some studies of knowledge workers have found they switch tasks every few minutes. In this dynamic, the cumulative effect is devastating. That's how some analyses arrive at the staggering estimate that chronic context switching can eat up about 40% of your productivity time. But here's the most insidious part. It doesn't feel like you're losing time. In fact, it often feels like you're being more productive. Answering a quick chat, firing off emails, checking a notification, each action gives you a small hit of novelty and a feeling of accomplishments. Your brain gets a tiny reward for being responsive. This creates a dangerous psychological trap where you are rewarded for activity, not for progress. You end the day exhausted from all the mental gear shifting, but the needle on your most important projects hasn't budged. It's the perfect recipe for burnout: high effort, high fatigue, and low output. Now, if this problem is bad for the average employee, it's an absolute crisis for entrepreneurs, founders, leaders, people like me that's running a solo setup. For most people, context switching happens between tasks. For entrepreneurs, it happens between entire identities. Okay. 1 minute, you're the CEO thinking about the 3-year strategic vision. The next, a Slack message pings and you're suddenly the head of customer support, right? Dealing with an angry client. An email comes in and now you're the head of sales, trying to close a critical deal. A calendar alert pops up and you're the head of human resources, prepping for a performance review. Then you look at your bank account and you become the CFO, stressed out about payroll. Each of these roles isn't just a different task. It's a different mental context, and each requires a different mindset, a different emotional state, and a different set of knowledge. Michael says, hands that know how to work never have to beg. You're right. And one of the things I didn't say in yesterday's show was closed mouths don't get fed. So when you're sitting over here wondering where the money going to come from to pay for things that you can't afford, you're either going to spend less money so that you got more money to spend, or you're going to make more money so that you have enough money to spend. Because you can't tell somebody, hey, you know, I don't have enough. Just give me more for the sake of giving me more because I feel entitled to have more. No, you have to either earn it by doing more work to get more money, get you some raises, or you got to do more work somewhere else, make more money on another job, or you have to spend less money on your standard of living so that you have more money to put towards getting the things that you want. Not fair, but I mean, that's kind of how the situation unfolds itself. Shifting from the optimistic, expansive mindset of a strategist to a meticulous problem-solving mindset of a coder isn't a simple switch. It's a violent mental lurch that drains your cognitive fuel tank at an alarming rate. And this problem is amplified by the founder tool stack. The average employee might juggle a handful of company mandated applications, but some studies show it can be around 11 apps. The average entrepreneur, however, often lives in a chaotic digital ecosystem of their own making, your work is spread across emails, Slack or Teams meetings, a CRM, Google Docs, Jira, social media, analytics dashboards, and a half dozen other tools. Some industries report suggesting that in certain jobs, workers can switch between apps and websites nearly 1,200 times a day. I can see myself on this computer with upward of 40 to 60 tabs open at the same time. For a founder, that number might not even be an exaggeration. Every one of these tools is another open loop in your brain, another potential interruption, another context to be loaded and reloaded, right? And this creates a state of constant responsiveness. You feel like you have to be always on because you are the central hub for every function of the business. The very nature of being a founder puts you directly in the crosshairs of constant, unrelenting context switching. It creates a perfect storm of decision overload and attention fragmentation, which is one of the reasons why I started taking naps over the last couple of weeks, because once I found a gap in the workload where I could take me some breaks, I said, man, I'm going to put off some of this stuff. I'm going to get me some extra sleep. I'm going to rest my brain, recharge a little bit, and then get back in there and start doing it hard like I used to do it. But you're forced to make dozens of decisions. But because you're constantly switching context, you're never giving any single decision the full undivided attention that it deserves. This leads to lower quality decisions, more mistakes, and a feeling of perpetual fighting fires instead of building your own visions. Now, another thing this is going to have you doing is checking, double checking, triple checking to try to remove and eliminate the mistakes, which puts a lot more effort into mediocre tasks, because in order for you to make sure that you did it right, you're going to go back and review yourself multiple different times. The ultimate tragedy for entrepreneurs is that this constant switching actively prevents the one thing that creates the most volume: deep work. Breakthroughs, strategic insight, creative solutions. These are all things that don't happen in 10-minute slivers of time between meetings. They happen during long, uninterrupted blocks of focus. But the founder's daily reality is the exact opposite. A day of 1,000 tiny, shallow tasks that gives the illusion of progress while preventing the deep work that truly matters. Now, this isn't just a productivity problem. It's an existential threat to your business's growth and your own sanity. So why are we all so trapped in this kind of cycle? If context switching is so damaging, why can't we just stop? The easy answer is notifications. But that's only scratching the surface. The real reasons are deeper and often invisible. The core of the issue is this: context switching is not a time management problem. It's a systems problem. So here are 9 hidden causes silently fueling your switching habits so that you can kind of understand why we do this. There's the schedule vacuum. And this is going to be what happens when you finish a task and don't have a clear plan for what's next. You find yourself in the void, even for just a minute. What do? You reflexively open your email or check your phone. You're not looking for anything specific. You're just filling the vacuum with the easiest activities available without a strong intention. And your brain defaults to reactive switching. The second thing, waiting for others. This is one of the most common triggers. You've hit a roadblock. You need feedback, a file, or a decision. You're blocked. That waiting time feels like a free pass to switch tasks. You think, I'll just answer a few emails while I wait. But this productivity becomes a filter that shatters your focus. So when the info you need finally arrives, you have to pay the full cognitive tax to get back into your original task. And one of the ways we do that is we tell our friends, let me finish doing what I'm doing, and then I'll get back to that, which delays the thing that you were waiting on. Number 3 is going to be micro reward cycles. Our digital tools are designed to be addictive. Every notification, every new email is a variable reward. You will find that if you have YouTube notifications turned on and you have multiple different podcasts or multiple different shows, channels that you have subscribed to over the years, you will find that you'll get a notification from each one of them. You will also find that YouTube ads will have them send you notifications for other shit that you weren't interested in. They'll send you similar notifications for content that's related to the content that you've been watching, even though you don't care about that, but you're getting a bunch of notifications. If you're in a group chat, you get notification every time somebody sends something to somebody else because you're in the group. You get notifications for your emails every time you get an email, whether it's an important email, a spam email, an ad email, text messages. You get text messages from friends. You get text messages from apps. You get text messages from any accounts. You get text messages for one-time codes for stuff that you need on your computer. Then you'll find yourself with phone calls. You get a notification about a phone call. Then you get a notification about a voicemail. And then you got the notifications for your alarm clock. All of these notifications, and all it takes is for one of them to be a notification of something that really pisses you off, and that's when you're completely distracted. It might be important, or it might be nothing. The uncertainty is precisely what makes checking so compelling. You want to see what's there. You want to see what the message is. A lot of the times what sales reps do to compel you to call them is they will contact you with an urgent message. Oh, you might fail if you don't respond to this notification. Oh, you might lose something if you don't respond to this notification. It's an ad that baits you into contacting them so that you can sign up for something that you otherwise may not have needed. I can't say that I'm the master of avoiding those things, because I actually found myself signing up for things that I wasn't thinking about signing up for. But when I signed up for it, I weighed what I had versus what I needed. And I observed the fact that what they were offering, I could abuse the service in a way where I can get a lot of stuff done at a cheaper price. I just had to wait for their service to kick in. Remember, we were talking about warranties and aftermarket coverages. You can call me up for a coverage. I don't need it unless I actually have stuff that needs to be covered under that coverage. And in that dynamic, it's like, well, if they're going to cover it, I'm going to go ahead and capitalize on that. Matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, if I put it into the budget, I could actually throw down on some car shield, make sure that it covers the sunroof, pay for the car shield for 30 days, put 500 miles on it, which is easy to do. That's just one trip to Tennessee. You got the 500 miles on it. And then call them up and say, hey, something's wrong with my sunroof, and get my sunroof taken care of, and then drop the coverage. Because it's a month-to-month service. So I can buy it, I can hold it for 60 days, and inside of that 60 days, pay for the sunroof. And then I'm good to go. Now, when it comes down to checking all of these messages with context switching, it's not a simplistic dopamine loop that we would think like we get from the reward center of all of the little mini quests on a video game. but a powerful behavioral habit that runs on autopilot. You switch not because you need to, but because your brain has been trained to crave the small, unpredictable rewards of checking stuff. That's why all of these notifications come in from all of these different places to kind of trigger you into interacting with all of this extra information. Emotional avoidance is going to be the first thing that happens. Now, let's be honest. Sometimes the most important tasks on your list is also the hardest or most intimidating ones. When faced with a difficult proposal, the allure of clearing out easy emails becomes irresistible, something less difficult. Context switching here is a form of productive procrastination. You switch to an easier task to avoid the discomfort of the harder one, all while telling yourself you're still working. Number 5 is, and this is the 5th out of 5, tool sprawl. How many apps and tabs do you have open right now? 10, maybe? Right now, I've got 1. But that's just because of the solar flare, because had it not been for the solar flare, I would have had about 35 or 40 up. You know, some people might have 20. Modern work is spread across an ever-growing number of platforms. You have one tool for chat, another for projects, another for documents, and each of these tools is a separate context. Just moving information from your email to your project tool is a context switch. Copy and pasting effort is a context switch, forcing you to be a human API that connects all of them together. Another one is synchronous culture residue. Synchronous culture residue. We live in a world that expects instant answers, okay? The green dot next to your name in a chat app has created an implicit promise of immediate availability. This culture of synchronous communication means other people's priorities constantly become your interruptions. You switch context because the culture has taught you that responsiveness is more valuable than focused progress. Identity fragmentations. That's going to be another one. I said 5. Apparently, we're going to 10, but we're gonna keep going here. This is the entrepreneur's curse that we had just talked about, but it applies to many roles. You aren't just one thing. You're a manager, a mentor, a strategist, an individual contributor. Switching from manager mode to deep work mode is a significant mental shift. And our work days often force us to make the switch dozens of times without any transactions. You see what Michael got going on. I got to pay attention to the comment section down here at the bottom. Oh, I already read that. I was over here like, Michael giving me some new information. No, he's not. I think Michael took a nap. Either way, we're going to keep going. Number 8, apparently, we're on status seeking and over visibility. In many work environments, especially remote ones, there's pressure to be seen working. The fastest way to do that is to be constantly active on chat, responding to emails instantly, and commenting on documents. This behavior isn't about productivity, it's about performing productivity. It's a form of status seeking that incentivizes context switching over quiet, focused work. So if you're on a job and you are, look at that, it is saying restart. Lord, I'm not going to do that. I'll restart it after the podcast. But if you are on a job, you're working at your desk, you're working abroad, or you're working from home, boss sends a message in the employee group chat, you stop what you're doing and you get in the message and respond to the boss so that the boss knows that you're at the computer working, right? Now, in contrast, If you were in person on a job site working, instead of the boss sending you an email to see if you were working, the boss might pass by your desk to see if you're working. Pass by your desk, look at the computer, see what's on the main screen. If you were focused on your work instead of focusing on your boss passing by, then you could get your job done. But because we're more socially distant now, through the progression of being a digital nomad, we find ourselves having forced check-ins now more than ever. Now, skill gaps. This is going to be another one. This one wasn't even expecting. This one is subtle but powerful. And you start a task, but you hit a point where you don't know how to proceed, or you're tired of this task and you don't want to continue on it for a moment. You want to break from it. Maybe you lack the technical skills or the right information. What do you do here? You switch to research mode and you fall down a rabbit hole, or you just jump to another task to avoid feeling incompetent. Instead of just stopping what you're doing here and just saying, I don't know what to do and I'm not going to do anything for a while, I'm going to linger on this, you actually start doing something else so that you can find yourself productive throughout the day without accomplishing your major priority goals. The root cause isn't a lack of focus. Like I told Michael earlier, it's not ADHD or ADD. It's, in some situations, a lack of skill or knowledge that forces you to switch from the main topic that you're on to something else. Now, before we get into fixes, let's take a second to think, which of apparently 9 causes that hits you the hardest? Is it the schedule vacuum, emotional avoidance, or the pressure to be consistently visible? Make sure that you let me know in the comment section as we continue on. Recognizing your root causes is going to be the first step, and it's going to help you and us see that you are not alone in this, and we know that there is another way for us to get through this. And this is the part that everybody, including Stephen, came to see. So make sure that you guys mash those reaction buttons and hit those notification buttons for the rest of the week, because we've discussed the disease and identified the hidden causes. Now it's time for the cure. And the cure is not to try harder. That's not going to help anything. The solution is to change the system. It's about creating an environment where focus is the default and context switching is the deliberate exception. So here's going to be 8 unorthodox tactics that you can implement today. And I'm going to be making a list of these, and I'm going to be putting these in the membership probably tonight, if not tomorrow, where you're going to start seeing this, where you can utilize this information to reassess how you focus on different tasks, whether it's at the job or at the house, interactions with people while you're driving your car. Just take this information under consideration and reevaluate how you approach objectives in your life. First step, first things first, implement hyper-structured days and role theming. Basic time blocking is a start, and I've given you that information before. Get you a calendar. Oh, actually, I told you before, make a list of all the things that you want to do, get you a calendar, and then label 2 very important things that you want to get done, and label 3 things that you would prefer to get done that you don't have to do today that you can do tomorrow, and prioritize trying to get at least 1 of the 2 major things and 1 of the 3 minor things done, where you have accomplished no less than 2 things a day, where you will find that all of the stuff that you listed may not be necessary, but it is bogging down your mental observation of productivity, right? Time blocking is a start, but it's still going to be a fragile scenario. A single meeting can shatter your perfect day. And one of the reasons why that's going to shatter your perfect day is because if you're looking at, one of the things we do is we block out time in an insufficient fashion. If we know that a meeting only takes an hour, we're only going to block out an hour. We don't block out the 10 minutes it takes to get to the meeting from our desk. We don't block out the 10 minutes it takes for us to go to the bathroom after the meeting. We don't block out the 5 minutes it takes to get back to our desk after we go to the bathroom, which ultimately is 25 extra minutes on top of the meeting. And then if you need another 5 minutes to get set up after that, you're looking at an hour and a half time block for that particular meeting. But what if that meeting runs over? If you book something immediately after that meeting, not giving yourself the buffer between the last task and the next task, now you're pushing everything back, and this causes an unnecessary level of stress. So take it a step further with themed days. Instead of trying to be a CEO, marketer, and coder all in one day, assign a dominant role to each day. Monday is for deep project or deep productivity work. Tuesday is going to be for marketing. Wednesday is going to be for all your meetings back to back. And by grouping similar contexts, you dramatically reduce the heavy identity switching and stay in one mental mode for longer. Number 2, create a no-wait work. And this is going to be a list that you're going to use. Remember the waiting for others trigger. This is the antidote. Create a list of valuable, non-urgent tasks that you can do in small pockets of time that don't depend on anyone else. This could be brainstorming ideas, cleaning up your file system, or reading a saved industry article. The key is that this list is pre-vetted. When you're blocked and waiting, you don't default to your inbox. You pull one pre-decided task from this list. It transforms dead time into productive time without shattering your focus. Number 3, you want to manage your reward circuit instead of being managed by your reward circuit. So you can't stop your brain's reward-seeking impulse, but you can channel it. Instead of letting notifications dictate your attention, schedule interruption blocks. Set a timer for 90 minutes of focused work. During that time, all notifications are off. When the timer goes off, give yourself 10 minutes intentionally checking everything, not necessarily responding to everything. You're not eliminating the behavior, you're batching it. This gives your brain the novelty it craves, but on your terms. Number 4, you want to practice, and that really quickly is equivalent to if you were working on a job, you had a 10-hour shift, you were working for 4 hours, and they give you a 15-minute break. On the kind of job that says no phones on the clock. You came to work, you've been here for a few hours, go take your 15-minute break, check your emails, update your social media status, talk to your friends and family. After that 15-minute break, you come back and let's get back to work. And if you're working an 8-hour shift and you're going to get a 15-minute break every 2 hours, you can actually really be at work for like an hour and 45 minutes and check your phone for 15 minutes, and then be working for another hour and 45 minutes and check your phone for 15 minutes, and keep doing that for the 8-hour shift, right? But number 4, practice pause training. This is a simple but profound micro habit. The impulse to switch is often unconscious. So to break the cycle, train yourself to pause for just 3 seconds before you act. A notification pops up, you pause, breathe, and then ask yourself, does this need my attention right now? An urge to check a news site, pause, breathe. Is this the best use of my focus? This tiny moment of friction is often enough to break the spell of reactivity and make the switch a conscious choice. And what I found myself to be in the most effective position is that I ignore all the notifications. And then during a moment when I have nothing left to do that I want to do for the day, then I will check all of the messages that I ignored earlier that day. And I find myself checking my messages 3 or 4 times in a day, right before I get up, or not right before I get up, but right before I get out of bed. So I check my messages before I get out of bed. So I message checking, get up, bathroom, message checking in that time span. Then when I'm done checking my messages, then I come and set up and I start working. I will check my messages right after lunch, so that if I need to respond to somebody before the end of business day, that I can get that done. And then I will check my messages right before this podcast to make sure that anything that I need to respond to somebody about before I start the podcast gets done before the podcast gets started. And then one time after the podcast, perceivably before bed, in that window, because a lot of the times right after the podcast, I got stuff to do. But after the podcast, since there are no emails coming in overnight, it would be any text messages that I ignored, any phone calls that I ignored during the podcast. I would check those after the podcast and before I go to sleep. So first thing in the morning, when I finish what I'm doing at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, did I get any messages that I need to deal with before bed? I would check that. If not, for the next 6 hours, they can kick rocks, something like that. So blocks of time to address these things. Now, number 5 is going to be the 90-day tool lock-in. And this is going to be one of the radical ones. Audit every single app and platform that you use. And you want to be ruthless about this, okay? For the next 90 days, commit to using the absolute minimum number of tools necessary. You can actually force quit a lot of the apps that are operating in the background, which would allow you to have less stuff running. Which, now that I think about it, I need to double check and make sure that I do that on this computer so that there's nothing operating in the background. Then clear the cache on anything that you are not using or something that you haven't used in a while. And then you want to go through a lot of them that you haven't logged into in a few weeks or a few months or however long. If it is not something that you effectively need for business, you can clearly tell because you haven't checked in on it for like 90 days or 6 months. Delete the app off of your phone. But ask yourself, can you consolidate your project management and documents into one specific platform? Can you eliminate a redundant chat channel? It might feel painful at first, especially because we collect stuff and we never curate it. But it forces you to build more streamlined workflows instead of relying on patchwork apps, which actually minimizes your workload. Because if you can use Jasper AI for everything that you needed, which Jasper AI is kind of good for some stuff, but Perplexity works. A lot of people are using ChatGPT. vidIQ is fantastic for drafting documents. It's just but the more stuff that you have that's all on one platform, the easier it is for you to get multiple things done without having to switch context. See, I just got a notification. Now, number 6, institute ASIC first communication rules. This is a game changer, especially for teams. Make asynchronous communications, email, project comments, the default, and synchronous communication, which is calls, instant messages, meetings, the deliberate exceptions. Create a culture where a 24-hour response time for non-urgent messages is acceptable. This gives everyone permission to disconnect and focus, knowing that an instant response isn't the measure of their performance. Now, y'all know I done told y'all plenty of times before that I done told family members, I'm like, look, man, if you're not externally, like if your internal organs are not externally out of your body, if you don't have internal bones externally protruding from your body, that whatever you got to talk to me about can wait until another day when I reach out to you and be like, hey, do you need something? What do you got going on? When I come to debrief you about my productivity for the week, I'm going to ask you in that moment, is there anything you need me to know? And if there's nothing that I need to know in that moment, then I'll come and debrief you next week. So since the majority of things in your life are not dire straits scenarios, you can write it down so that you don't forget, and then put it in the notification box. You can put it in the memo box. You can put it on the fridge. You can send me a text message and I'll get to it later. But there's no reason for you to ambush me as soon as I come out of the bathroom, or ambush me as soon as I come out of the bedroom with information, because it's urgent for you to tell me so that you can put that pressure on me to deal with it, because now that I know, you're going to ignore the problem. No, you can retain that until another time. And then when I have the ability to debrief you and make that responsibility mine, then I'll pull that in. So making sure that they understand, hey, a lot of the times you can give them a 24-hour turnaround, but a lot of times you can say, look, if it ain't that serious, it can wait until my day off. Again, it's got to be a drastic measure, but in business, it might be a failed client. It might be a misdirection with the project. It might be if you're doing real estate, it might be a code problem where code enforcement is getting involved. It might be a construction or development problem. It might be a on-the-job injury or something like that. And these are things that negatively impacts the business ability to perform. And if immediate intervention is required, then yeah, you can come and contact me within 24 hours, but really curate, like, how important is it? Is it something that's got to get done today, or is it something that can wait a couple days? And if it can wait a couple days, wait a couple days to tell me, because I'm not going to be the one that says, why you didn't tell me sooner? Because shit, I'm doing so many things in advance to the fact that most of the stuff that's about to happen, I should already know about. So I'm right now, last week of June, operating on responsibilities for the first week of August. So if you were to come and talk to me about something right now, it would have to be something that I missed, right? So if it's urgent, I'll deal with it right now. But if it's not urgent, it can wait. It can wait a few days, right? Now, number 7, you want to create visibility windows. And this is going to be pretty interesting. The pressure to be visible, visibly working, drives a lot of context switching. So counteracting this with scheduled visibility windows allows for you to still get that experience without actually having to deviate through multiple different projects. Now, this could be a 15-minute daily stand-up. And I don't mean stand-up comedy. I mean, like, get up in front of everybody and be seen. A detailed end-of-day summary in the dedicated channels, or a weekly progress report. By creating a structured time for a status update, you remove the need to perform productivity all day long, and it decouples working from showing that you're working. Notice when Donald Trump was talking about to some of the feds that were on salary, that they had to do a progress report of all of the things that they accomplished and all of the things that they were assigned to on, if not a daily, a weekly basis. That's exactly this. Number 8, scheduling strategic upskilling, learning new stuff. If you find yourself constantly switching away from tasks because of skills gaps, meaning that you reached a point where you don't really know where to go with this project, not because you're not smart enough, not because you're not good enough, but because the complexity of this has you over a barrel and you don't really know where to go with it, or you don't have enough information to finish it appropriately. Like, you might know how to create the document, but you might not have all of the facts and the details to put the document together correctly. This might happen in a law firm where you're drafting a court order or you're drafting a motion. You know what kind of motion to draft, but you don't have the exact details, the exact dates, the exact times, the exact locations. And this might require you to create the file, the template, and then have to go back and research the details so that you can input the details effectively and then proofread the draft before submitting a final draft to the judge. This could be a police officer that knows the citation that needs to be written, but doesn't know the state codes or city ordinances that applies to the citation that needs to be written, where they have to defer back to their computer to look up the exact correct code to list in the citation. So it's not that you're not good enough. It's the fact that you don't have all of the information. And this causes a skills gap, which causes you to stop doing what you're doing. Because if the police officer doesn't have the exact code in mind for the citation, he has to code switch from being a police officer writing the citation to researching the laws in order to find the right citation, and then switch back to issuing the citation, which delays the progress of performing a citation. This code switching thing happens, or context switching thing happens quite a few times. The solution is going to be to treat the gap as its own individual project. Not having enough information, going to get that information needs to be a separate project. So you want to schedule dedicated time in your calendar to learn that skill. Block out 2 hours every Friday afternoon or every day that you don't have a lot of things bogged down in the first place to master the new software or take that course on financial modeling. If you guys don't have 7 days a week to spend a few hours a day every night on the podcast, you could dedicate 2 to 4 hours on your day off to listen to this in the background while you're doing something else, and re-listen to it as a background filler while you're jogging or while you're doing a hands-on project that doesn't require you to listen to anything else, and you can be picking up new financial skills and learning new ways to approach things. But you can learn new software. You can take a course on financial modeling and be more productive in those things because you have a better knowledge set. By proactively addressing the skills gap, whatever's causing you to not know what you need to know to finish the project in one fell swoop, you eliminate the root cause of the switching and turn a source of friction into a source of growth. Now, while this all sounds great, knowledge without action is still going to be useless. Okay. So let's make this practical. The goal isn't to do all 8 of these things at one time. It's to become the scientist of your own productivity and run small experiments. And you want to do this in a way where you're proactively affecting the pain points of your situation, whatever those pain points are. So here's going to be your 7-day action plan. And we're going to be putting, like I told you guys earlier, we're going to be putting this together either later tonight or tomorrow. Actually, now that I think about it, probably Sunday, because I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. And we're going to be putting this into the membership, the step-by-step guide as to how to go about approaching these things. But first step you want to do is the 30-minute awareness audit. On day 1, you can't fix a problem that you can't see. So you want to schedule 30 minutes tomorrow, matter of fact, where your only task is to observe your own work. Don't try to be productive. Just sit at your computer and notice your impulses. What do you want to do? What do you feel like you need to accomplish? What tab do you instinctively open first or leave sitting on the desk to address first? When a thought pops into your head, what's your immediate reaction? Don't judge it, just write it down. This will reveal your default patterns. Step 2 is you want to keep a switching log. This is going to be on the second day of your performance assessment. 1 full work day, keep a simple log. Every time you switch tasks, make a note, just 3 columns. The time. When did the switch happen? The trigger. What caused it? Was it a Slack notification? Got bored? Remembered an email? What caused it? Then when was it determining was it external or internal? Was it an internal impulse that caused you to do it, or was it an external impulse that caused you to do it? Meaning that did somebody else distract you from your project, or did you distract yourself? Then task switched from what thing to what thing. So did you go from a report to an email? Did you go from talking on the phone or reading a text message? Did you go from sending a text messages to answering the phone? Did you go from watching a movie to playing a video game? Like what was it? At the end of the day, you'll have a data-driven picture of how fragmented your attention really is. Then step 3, categorize your work. Look at your logs and your to-do list. Divide your tasks into 3 categories. Deep work, which is cognitively demanding tasks that creates a high volume. Strategies, coding, writing, whatever takes up a large quantity of your mental capacity. Shallow work, which is logistical tasks that don't require intensive focus. Scheduling, simple emails, reviewing certain messages, listening to your voicemails, right? Then fragmented work, the reactive stuff, the quick replies to messages that you put on hold until later, the context switching itself. What's your ratio? Many people find that 80% of their day is spent on shallow and fragmented work, leaving almost no time for what truly matters. Steven says, I got to go back and keep watching these messages. He says, as long as memes with old movie references are consistent in the podcast, all other tabs are closed. And then Steven said, day off, what's that? Look, and I was so focused on what I was doing. He sent those messages 10 minutes ago, and I just noticed they were there. He said, day off, what is that? So when I was talking about this a minute ago, Steven, when I was telling you guys, hey, if you wait until a day off for you, because you've got daytime stuff, then you got nighttime work, then you got weekend work. It wouldn't necessarily be like a whole day off. It would be like if you had 12 hours of no responsibilities that you were dedicating yourself to at this time. If you had 6 hours of nothing that you're willing to invest yourself in, like the other day when you said that your friends had contacted you and asked you if you wanted to pick up an extra shift or do some extra work. You told them, nah, you wasn't feeling it. You was kind of going to go home and go in and relax, whatever. Right now, during that time, you were in a position where you were not dedicated to anything else because you had mentally and physically clocked out. You were not trying to do any extra work. You had nothing else planned for yourself. Now, in that moment, you were technically off. Now, in that moment that you're technically off, was there something that you wanted to put in a time slot? Or, if you're just going to rest, you rest. But there are going to be days, there's going to be weeks, there's going to be moments where you've got 3 or 4 hours with nothing that you need to do, nothing that you want to do, but you can occupy your time with something that you would prefer to get done. Right. And I know that sounds like restating the same, but take for example, you work all day, come back to the house, lay down, relax, get up, get you some dinner, take your shower. You're not tired yet. You normally sleep 5 hours from now, but you got nothing planned. This is the moment where you can ask yourself, well, is there something that I want to accomplish right now in this 3-hour window out of 5? It doesn't have to take 3 hours, but I could get it out of the way. You can grab some of those mediocre tasks that doesn't require a lot of effort. It doesn't require a lot of mentality. You can backtrack and update your contacts with people that you promised to communicate with. You can forward thinking. You can put yourself into a scenario where you're doubling down on stuff that you had put off until today. Because with people who work 2 jobs, you might be off on one job and working on the other, but working every day of the week. And then if you're a college student during the day and then you're working at night, you typically feel like you don't have a day off. But truth be told, if you've got morning classes, your morning classes end before lunch. So then after lunch, you've got nothing to do at school. But if you work in the afternoons, there's a 4-hour gap between school and work. And then after work, you know, you've got, I want to go home and go to sleep because I got to go to class in the morning. But you're only going to school 2 days a week, unless you packed a full schedule where you're doing 2 classes on Monday and Wednesday and 2 classes on Tuesday and Thursday, which means you're only doing 2 classes a day every day, which means you're actually only at school for 2 to 3 hours a day. And that means that the other 5 hours between getting out of class and going to work, you actually have free time to accomplish something. That's one of the reasons why I used to tell myself when I was going to college, every day I'm going to college, even if I don't have class. So I work in the afternoons, but I would go to college every day, even if I don't have class. Why? Because if I go there every day, I'm never not going to go. And then while I'm there, if there's something that I need to do, I'm already out of the house, I'm out of bed, I'm already mentally focused and ready to accomplish things. And now I can start prioritizing other things when I'm not studying for my class. So yeah, what days off? It's going to be the days when you have less to do. That's going to be considered a day off. So for an individual who works double overtime, an individual who works 2 jobs, an individual that works 65 to 80 hours a week, whether it's 1 job or 2 jobs, and then when they're not at work, they're prioritizing something else. That individual, your day off is when you have less to do. I know that sounds weird, but that's really what it is. Now, step 4, the 7-day experiment from day 4 to day 10. This is going to be the time to start taking action after you've collected the data. You want to choose one and only one of the fixes from the last section. Implement that for the next 7 days. Pick the one that seems most achievable. So the easiest one, right? And it's going to be the one that has the biggest impact on the triggers that you identified in your log. So if your biggest problem is a schedule vacuum, finding stuff to do in between things that you have to do. Like, for example, if you have 1 class in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and you have 1 class in the afternoon at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you have nothing to do between 9 and 4, but you don't want to leave school because you're going to be less motivated to go back to school for your afternoon class. Now you got to find something to do between that 9 to 4 time slot. That's a schedule vacuum. You're stuck, quote unquote, stuck at school so that you can be on campus for your next class. Now you got to fill in that space. Create and use a no-wait work list. If you're drowning in notifications, implement 2 90-minute interruption blocks each day. If you're switching between too many roles, try theming them. Just 2 days of your week goes towards specific roles. Treat it as an experiment. At the end of the week, review what happened, what worked, what didn't. Did your number of daily switches decrease? Did you feel less fatigue? The goal is incremental improvements. Okay? Not just instant perfections. This isn't about mastering your performance in 30 days. This is about you identifying how to improve your mental capacity and your ability to structure things so that you're not overstimulating yourself mentally on a regular basis, which causes the fatigue and causes the burnout, which causes you to shut down. And then when you shut down, you're not productive, which you then find yourself overly stressed and anxious about, because since you went and laid down and took a nap because your head hurt from all the stress that you've been under, you find yourself sleeping off the stress more often. And then you wake up and half the day is gone and you didn't accomplish as many things as you wanted to accomplish. So by doing this stuff, this is going to be how you build a productivity system that is tailored to you, which allows for you to get more things done with less mental strain. Now, for years, we've been told that if we feel unproductive, we just need more discipline or a better to-do list. At work, we're told if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. So always got to find something to do. But the reality is, for most of us, the problem isn't the effort that we're putting in, it's the system that we're working in. A system designed for interruptions, not attention. A system that rewards reactivity over progress. Context switching is the invisible tax that is broken system, leaving us with different levies on our focus every single day. It's quietly eroding your most valuable resources, which is your ability to think deeply. One of the reasons why a lot of people are being misdiagnosed with ADHD. But unlike the taxes that you pay to the government, this one is optional. You can choose to stop paying it. You can choose to stop overly investing your mental capacity to unnecessary things. It starts by recognizing this is a system problem, not a personal failure, meaning that this is a conditional behavior pattern, not you making deliberate mistakes. It continues by systematically identifying the hidden causes in your own workflow and running small, deliberate experiments to fix that. It's about moving from a state of frantic, unconscious reactivity to one of calm, intentional actions. It's about designing a workflow that protects you and your focus as the precious resources that they are. The cognitive tax that you've been paying is real, but it's not mandatory. And today is going to be the day that you can start getting your refund on your investment. So if through all the hell and damnation we have with the solar flare today, if this gives you a new lens to view your productivity, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, and then share this with somebody that you know who feels too busy but isn't making any progress. Also, double check the membership over the next few days and see what information that we put in about this, because this will help you guys utilize that guide to better improve your performance and productivity. Make sure that you let yourself and everybody else around you that is experiencing this know that you're not alone on this. This is something that happens to everyone. We are just not used to how to address it, how to fix it, how to resolve it. But it can, in fact, be resolved. It just requires us to change how we perform. Now, I didn't have a lot of things for you today, but it took a lot of time for us to get through it today because of the way things were with that solar flare. I am glad that the solar flare will be over in the next day or two, so we should not have the extensive disruptions that we had today. And that's wild because I just noticed that my cell phone network is at 2 bars, but we're streaming off of the 5G, which is actually giving us 6 bars. So that's probably one of the reasons why the browser was crashing on us at the beginning of the show. Interesting. Either way, I got a lot of things lined up for you guys. And if you haven't been checking the channel, you need to go and double check the channel because we've got a lot of stuff listed all the way through September. So you really need to get through there because I do believe all of June and, well, except for Mondays, all of June, July is up there except for the Mondays. And then the majority of August and a lot of September is up there. And we got a lot of stuff that we're covering that we're going to be implementing to improve your abilities to perform. And you should continue to see a larger quantity of information going into the membership that aids you in your ability to not just listen to the video as background noise, but actually proactively use the strategies that I give you to improve your life one step at a time. It's not about putting 500 strategies in your free time where you find yourself overdoing what you're doing. It is about reorganizing how you perform in your life so that you put less effort into more meaningful things, or put more effort into the meaningful things and less effort into the non-significant things, and removing those non-significant things out of your to-do list, right? Find out what's really valuable to you. Just like the discussion we had yesterday, the difference between needs and wants, where our wants become the standard norm, and then we reclassify them as needs, but they're not needs, they're wants. And that change, that difference is what changes the way we address life. Because if you believe that you need a Bentley, you're going to put all your financial effort into getting a Bentley. But if you realize that you might just need reasonable transportation, and you find yourself a 30-year-old Toyota that never lets you down, you might get that 30-year-old Toyota for $5,000 versus getting yourself a 20-year-old Bentley for $200,000. The difference is reclassifying and re-identifying true needs versus true wants. So even with context switching, you have to prioritize what tasks you really need to accomplish versus the things that you passively, subconsciously, and instinctively address just for the sake of recognizing that you've done something. This actually takes a lot of stress out of you, and you find yourself less drained, less fatigued, more focused, more clear. And it really takes a lot more stress off of your plate. So I want you guys to really think about this as you start proactively putting your effort into it over the next few weeks, few months, and whatever, when you start applying it. So that's all I got for you guys for tonight. I'm going to start by saying, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. Fellas, I give you all this information the easy way and the hard way, but I do it to help you guys become higher value men, not just by increasing your financial lives, but also by increasing your decision-making skills, because the decisions that you make in life directly impact your ability to retain the money that you've already made. Ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can make yourselves higher value women, but it requires you to prioritize your 20 and 30-year plans. You need to find out where you want to be at in 20 to 30 years, and then you want to proactively put forth the effort to reverse engineer what it takes to get there, and then stick to that. If you keep your eyes and ears open to those potential suitors with the right personality and characteristics, the drive, ambition, dedication, motivation, the admiration, the integrity of this individual's capabilities to perform their own goals. And then you want to find out what goals they have to see if their goals mesh with your goals. Because while y'all don't have to have the exact same goals, if your goals are headed in the same direction, you two can work together to be successful. You need to be looking for long-term satisfaction, not short-term gratification. When I asked a lot of the people on the channel, and this was wild, but when I asked a lot of people on the channel last week, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Simply 5 years. They had some Miss America vague answers. But the one thing they didn't have was the follow-up response. Well, how do you achieve that? Because if you want happiness, if you want financial freedom, if you want a stress-free life, if you want good health, those are broad spectrum responses. How do you achieve that, though? That's what you want. The blueprint on how to achieve that. If good health requires better health care, better doctors, then that's what you want. Because the byproduct is the good health. Is stress-free, like Michael said earlier in the show, reallocating your priorities to the help, delegating tasks to other individuals. Now you don't have any stress to deal with because you put your stress on other people for a price. You know, happiness comes from having the things that you need and not needing things that you don't have. Part of happiness, I mean, the other part of happiness is not being alone, but being stressed leads to lack of happiness, right? So figuring out what you need to do to get to that feeling is how you're going to build that 20 or 30-year plan, because everything has a price. You just have to figure out how much you have to pay. That's $1 Million Man from WWF. Once you figure that out, and then you know what you need to do today to get to where you need to be at. And I tell you guys on a regular basis, 2 people can get to $1 million faster than 1, but you both have to be headed in the same direction. All right. That's all I got for you guys for today. I'm going to start by saying, oh, wow, I just noticed this is 9/16. All right. It is what it is. I'm going to start by saying a special shout out to Steven, Michael, OG Kicks, Omni81, Red Void, Danny Steffen, and FX Trader. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I see you guys tomorrow night. If I can get this to work, hit the button.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never yield.